There's a lot of misconceptions about what weight control means and what people can do to control their weight. And so they look for quick answers, or they look for simple things that they can do, or very dramatic things that they can do that they just really can't sustain. It used to be that you got information about nutrition or about dieting or whatever from your friends and family. Now there's an explosion of information. They can get it off the internet, they can get it from newspapers, they can get it from magazines, along with their family and friends. So there's many more options to get misinformation.
If I read it on a package, I'd probably think the same.
Yeah, absolutely not. And this is one that's frustrating because marketers use it, and people that are looking for that whole wheat, that whole grain benefit are often sometimes misled. So my best advice for you is to, one, if you're purchasing a bread product, look for the word whole somewhere on it, whether it's whole grain or whole wheat. Two, flip it over and look at the ingredient list. The first ingredient should be whole wheat or whole grain flour. If it says enriched, then it would be equivalent to eating something such as white bread.
It's because I heard a lot, like in my health classes, cutting carbs has to lose weight.
I'm taking a lot of science classes. They say it was a problem. I don't know, I'm just trying to be all scientific.
No. Or I guess it does in the short term, but doesn't it like plane out after a while?
Carbs are not fattening, and they can fit into a balanced diet. You could definitely lose weight following a diet that's rich in carbohydrate.
Frozen food is not as fresh as fresh food. Wait,
Are frozen foods as healthy as fresh foods?
frozen food are not as healthy as fresh food.
Frozen's a great way to go. I really like it in the college population because fresh fruits and vegetables could go bad easily, and if you're cooking for one, it can be really hard and really expensive to keep a kitchen full of fresh fruits and vegetables. And actually, a lot of times with frozen vegetables, the cooking method is microwaving them, and steaming's a great way to go with vegetables because if you're cooking them in a large amount of water, if you look at the water, it's often colored. That's a lot of the nutrients that are coming out, whereas with steam, you really retain a lot of those nutrients.
Like what high fructose corn syrup is?
What?
Okay. High fructose corn syrup?
Not at all.
We metabolize fructose differently than glucose in the body, and scientists have suggested that fructose can be worse for your health. High fructose corn syrup is actually a blend of glucose and fructose. It's not all fructose, and personally, I feel like the problem is added sugar. High fructose sugar is usually added to a product, and that additional sugar is what would be a health concern.
I think it is worse than sugar because it's in everything.
You look in anything, there's high fructose corn syrup. And we're just sweetening up too many things. We're adding a lot of empty calories.
I've read a few things. It's harder for your body to process the high fructose corn syrup than regular table sugar. I think it's processed, so it's not natural.
High fructose corn syrup has a very similar molecular setup as table sugar, and calorie-wise, nutritionally speaking, they are very, very similar. The calories are basically the same. It doesn't matter what source, if it's from honey, agave syrup, table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, all of it needs to be limited in the body.
No, I don't think so. I eat a lot of vegetables during the day, so I don't think it's enough. I think that's what the FDA officially has on now, but I don't think it's enough. I think people need more.
Girl, 100 pounds, 5 feet tall, 5 fruits and vegetables would be pretty close. For anyone taller than that, no. For guys, no. You need a lot more than that.
I think sugar causes diabetes. My grandfather had diabetes, and he could eat low sugar ice cream and stuff like that. He had to monitor what he was eating. So.
Sugar will not cause diabetes, and if somebody has diabetes, they think of just sugars, but they really need to think of their overall carbohydrate intake. The risk factors with diabetes that are the greatest would be somebody being overweight, somebody having high blood pressure, somebody having high cholesterol, a lot of what we call comorbidities with other diseases. Just simply cutting sugar out probably wouldn't prevent diabetes. It would take sort of a full lifestyle change.
I think in moderation gluten's alright.
I only think gluten's like really bad for you if you have celiac, because I'm allergic, but...
For the healthy adult that does not have celiac disease or digestive issues and where their doctor has told them to try gluten-free or a low gluten diet, absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with gluten. Gluten is the protein in wheat. Wheat's extremely healthy. It is a fad to eat things that are gluten-free. Manufacturers are actually publishing that information for people with those disorders, and a lot of people see it gluten-free. Oh, gluten must be bad. I want things that are gluten-free, and they just assume that it's healthy, but it's not. And actually following gluten-free diet can be very detrimental to the health. Typically, the gluten-free replacements are really low in fiber and low in vitamins and minerals as well. And so people who go on a gluten-free diet can have a hard time getting enough fiber depending on what they're choosing.
I would think there are vegetables that have protein in them. I would say a potato, but I don't think potato necessarily has protein in it. I assume there's alternatives. Where you can take vitamins. I'm pretty sure you can take supplements that augment the meat gives you.
It is very possible to meet all of your protein needs through food alone when you're a vegetarian, even when you're a vegan. However, when you are a vegan, you are eliminating dairy and eggs, and it's a little bit trickier, but it's still possible. You could buy a protein supplement to help you meet your protein needs. That is possible. But the average multivitamin doesn't contain any protein at all. The multivitamin would contain some of the vitamins that you're missing from eliminating all animal products. So if you were vegan and you didn't do dairy or eggs, then you would definitely require a B12 vitamin because that is only found in animal products.
I think it does, yeah. I've heard that your metabolism kind of slows down and you shouldn't really eat after 8 or 9 o'clock.
When you look at weight gain, weight loss, it really ultimately comes down to calories in and calories out. Generally speaking, I do say eat during the day and diet at night because I find a lot of people hold off throughout the day and eat a large meal later, which would affect someone's metabolism. But it is a myth saying that eating at night would make you gain more weight.
If you want to be really healthy, yeah, cutting out processed foods, natural food is easier for the body to process.
Absolutely false. That is a myth. It's a huge myth. I'll give you an example of a very healthy, highly processed food. Boneless, skinless chicken breast. Processing means to have something done to it. It doesn't just mean adding salt. A lot of people assume it means adding sugar or salt, but that's not true at all. Removing the skin means that the item has been processed. So with a boneless, skinless chicken breast, you have removed the skin, you removed the bone, and you cleaned it, and you've frozen it usually, or packaged it. It depends if it's frozen or not.
Bacon, I gotta tell you something. Bacon is good for me.
Nutrition research is evolving, and what you will hear one day may be very different than what you hear the next day. And what you have to do is you kind of have to think, what's the trends? What am I hearing is the trend? Yes, there's this strange study that said this, but everyone else is sort of saying this. And so I'd look for those trends in messages instead of looking for the dramatic thing that is so different. And that's why the dietary guidelines are so important, because they've looked at all the research for the last 5 years, and they've looked at the trends, and they've graded it by how much research is there to support it. And so when you hear something that's in the dietary guidelines, you can be pretty sure that it's well supported.
$3.99 for all you can eat, while I'ma stuff my face to a funky beat. We're gonna walk inside and guess what's up? Put the food on my plate and some Coke in my cup. Give me some chicken, flakes and fries, and then pass me a lettuce, I'm a passing by. So keep shoveling.